Okey-dokey.
Okay, so hi everybody. I'm here today with Tanith Lee, who is going to join me at the MIdlife Mayhem event on the 23rd of November at Ashtown Park Hotel.
Yeah.
So a little bit of background. Tanith and I have known each other for, oh gosh, probably about 10 years now, maybe?
Probably.
I think we met at Mumpreneurs networking event, and we've obviously got quite a lot in common because we've both worked in the fitness world and the health and well-being world for a long time. But Tanith is also known as Mrs. Menopause. And if any of you came to the first MIdlife Mayhem event, which was roughly about 3 years ago, you may have heard her story. But if you haven't, I would really like to introduce Tanith. And if you could just give us a bit of background about your story, and why do you think that might be relevant to the ladies that are going to attend this event with us in a few weeks' time?
Sure. Okay, a bit about my story. So I'll try and keep it quite condensed.
I know it's not long.
So like you, I was in the fitness industry, taught loads of classes, small groups, doing all that, loving all that. And like yourself, wanted to do more and more, go deeper, to go into the mindset and nutrition. So I was doing all that. But then this is in about my 30s. I just started to feel not myself. My mood just dropped really low, very, very deep depression. I had a coil at the time, so I was on the Mirena contraceptive coil.
Yeah.
I'd had that removed, and I'd had a bleed, if you like, and that pretty much was my last period.
Oh wow!
To cut a story very short, but I didn't know that at the time. I had this bleed. I was still feeling very, very low, very anxious, not sure what was going on, couldn't understand. I felt broken basically, and I couldn't work out what it was.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any periods for a while, probably about 6 to 8 months. It's quite hard to remember. This is about 8 years ago now. So I went to my GP, and basically I was told, not in the most compassionate, caring way, that I had gone through menopause prematurely.
Wow.
So that kind of started my menopause kind of journey, if you like. I was 38, never said the word menopause ever. I don't think I'd even thought it, to be honest. Actually, that's a lie. Actually, I think my mum was going through the menopause when I got married, and she didn't realise she was put on antidepressants, which is really common as well.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah, very common, and it has a place. I'm not saying it isn't right or wrong. It certainly has a place. So that was kind of carrying on. And being in the industry I was in, I was really getting more and more interested in health and well-being. So I started to research, this early menopause thing, and there really wasn't that much information around 8 years ago. It's come on so far. People are doing great work now to kind of bring women's health to the forefront.
Yeah.
And then I was talking more and more, and people wanted to know more. And actually, it was my old mentor who actually said, "Oh, if you want to know about hormones or menopause, you want to go and see Tanith. She's Mrs. Menopause," kind of thing.
And that's how you got the name.
And that's how the name was born, because I went, okay, well, I'm about menopause. I'm about being honest and truthful, and kind of saying how it is about my experience. Mrs. Menopause literally says what it is.
Yeah.
So that was created, and I kind of went on from there. And then I knew I wanted to help women more, especially around women's health. So not necessarily always just menopause.
Yeah.
All women's health, hormone imbalances, from weight loss to depression to digestive, all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to help women. So that's when I went off and then studied for 3 years to become a nutritional therapist. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. So that's as condensed as I think I could probably get my story.
But that's really, really great. And the MIdlife Mayhem is really, it's not necessarily aimed at menopausal or perimenopausal women. This is about, as you've already said, it's about women's health and about women feeling better, and not always knowing what's holding them back. And I think your journey and my journey have been quite interesting. But I guess I'm sort of moving perhaps more down the mindset side, and definitely yours is the nutrition side. But they're coming together, aren't they? And so I'm really excited to have you there on the 23rd to talk about hormones. So why is it important for women especially to understand hormones?
Well, I think, it's what drives us. It's what makes us, it's what changed us from a little girl into a woman. And then, to be able to reproduce. And then, we move on to the next phase, which means then we stop the ability to reproduce. But then, of course, then what happens? Yeah. So I think it's tricky, isn't it? Because I think we've got a better understanding how our bodies work. And I think many women, don't really understand what happens, perhaps even in their monthly cycle.
Yeah.
Really don't, especially if women are using contraception. If they're on the pill, or even if you have a coil and they're not having a regular monthly bleed, it's easy to lose touch with what's going on. And if we go back hundreds, thousands of years, how we were much more in touch with what was going on with our bodies. So I think it's reducing that gap between us and what's going on. I think we get a bit squeamish sometimes about what's going on with our bodies. I think it's getting in touch with that and understanding we have a cycle. Yeah. And we live in cycles, don't we, Lisa? We with seasons, the years, the moon, everything. Yeah, but us as women, we have a cycle, and I'm sure most women, women listening to this will know that because of having maybe PMT and all that kind of thing. So we have these cycles. But what I would love to be able to talk to women about is how we can use that cycle to our advantage. So in particular stages of the cycle, there's times that we feel knackered or a bit moody or a bit miserable, and those are the times perhaps we should actually be taking it easy. Yeah. Or other times when all the hormones levels are rising, then we get that lift, we get that feeling connected, we feel a bit more powerful. We could utilize that energy as well. But it's rare for me to meet women who actually use that kind of information to kind of plan their month.
Oh, they don't, and just from going through to the exercise point of view, we believe that we have to do the same thing every week or every day, and there's and if we're having a crap day and feeling rubbish, it's like, well, just push through and you'll be fine. Yet it could be that there's that your estrogen levels have dropped, your progesterone levels have gone up, and we forget that our mood is affected hugely by hormones.
So I mean, this is something I'd really like to be able to talk about. Really, is working with our bodies and being more connected to our bodies and not seeing our body as the enemy. No. What can we do to kind of work together with it? And that comes in many forms. Health. Everyone needs to kind of maybe create their own definition of health. Your definition of health and mine are going to be very different. And we need different tools to bring us closer to that definition, don't we? Yeah, so, whether it is nutrition, whether it is exercise and mindset, or probably it's all three, to be fair.
I think
bringing those all together. To bring them all together, because sometimes we need the right mindset, don't we, to kind of push through, lean into those kind of like resistance to make those changes, which I'm sure you're going to be talking about a lot.
Yeah.
On the day. So that's kind of what I want to talk about, and talk about the different stages of a woman as well, going through what happens when we, not too much, but going through perhaps as what happens to our bodies as we do go through our different years, our different decades. And of course I could not talk about menopause.
Absolutely. And I think obviously the day, one of the things that we're going to talk about is low self-esteem and confidence, and that feeling of overwhelmed, being stuck, and that's really a big part of this whole thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's been a hell of a ride for me, I have to say, this early menopause thing, and it took me a while really to accept it as part of me. I talked about it a lot, and I could talk to other people, but actually feeling the change in myself at a young age, it took a little bit of time. It was a big mindset that there's a little bit of work I've had to do behind that. And I think for me, it's to be able to talk to women about, yes, the transition potentially going through that perimenopause, which can start in your 40s.
Yep.
That bumpy ride. Bumpy ride into your final periods. that's a transition. Just like we went through puberty, it doesn't last forever. And I've said this in a couple of things lately, but it's kind of like we need to rebrand menopause, don't we? We need to give it a new logo. We need to give it a bit of a new face, if you like, because actually, if menopause is happening at the age of around 52 and we're living hopefully into our 80s and 90s, that's a big chunk of our life that actually we're kind of, you know, brushing aside or putting ourselves down, or we're too old, we're over the hill, we're past it. All this chatter we're telling ourselves, reinforcing these beliefs we hear everywhere around us in the media and everything else. And I think it's up to us. It's up to us to start to change that. And we do see it, of course we do. There's lots of women out there who you know, inspire us, and we, you know, and don't let those kind of barriers hold them back.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you say to somebody, oh, she's going through the menopause, and everybody laughs about hot flushes and all that sort of stuff. But as you quite rightly say, and as you know, because, you know, you're training in my studio now with my 60 plus ladies.
Yeah, I am.
They're 60, 70, and one I think is 83. These women are amazing.
They are brilliant.
And why should we think that just because we've gone through menopause that we should be written off?
Exactly.
But society and the media and, dare I say it, the opposite sex sometimes say, well, you know, you're past it now, love, and we become invisible, and we shouldn't be.
No. It is changing, and I think the thing is, I think the menopause, we still think about what a woman looked like in her 50s, you know, a generation or two ago.
Big difference.
What my nan looked like at that age is very different to what my mum looks like. You know, I mean, my mum's, what is she? She's 67.
Yep.
You know, she's still doing loads of fitness. She you know, doesn't dress. You know, she hasn't got, like, you know, it's different. It is changing, and the change is happening. There's a big movement, and I think, you know, we need to just keep that going. And, you know, for me, my message with menopause, there's hope. You know, don't give up on yourself. You know, there's lots we can do to help ourselves, whether it's through mindset, movement, you know, whether it's supplements, nutrition, whatever it is. You know, let's not give up on ourselves. We have to be our own cheerleaders in this game.
And there are lots of, like you said, there are some really simple things that you can do. And actually, if you start those even before you've got into that perimenopause, menopause state, then that's gonna help you in the long run, isn't it? Really? Yeah,
absolutely. It's a tricky conversation, because most women I speak to, if they're in their early 40s, haven't even thought about menopause. No, you know, that's the thing, and sometimes it catches up to you more quickly than you realise. Yeah. So, you know, anyone, I'd say, you know, our hormones start to change at 35. If you look how our fertility levels drop after 35, 36, the change is happening there. But we're just, again, that disconnect. We're not really worrying about what's going on. And I think what I love what you're doing is bringing, you know, doing this, the MIdlife Mayhem, is you're bringing a group of women together. And I found in my experience, the power in that of getting, you know, it's almost like we don't really need to do that much, to be honest, because getting women together and just allowing them to have those conversations and like going, oh yeah, me too, I've experienced that, because it can be very isolating in here, can't it, when you think all this stuff's going on and you don't know where to turn, you think you're actually going a little bit crazy. So, you know, it's fantastic. The more women can come together, I think, and, you know, get that sense of community, I think the better it can be. Yeah,
and it's definitely that power of community, and it is, I know when I was suffering a lot with, and this is not to do with hormones and menopause, but maybe it is that, you know, that fear of what people were going to think about me and not doing things because I felt everybody else was better than me. It was only when I started actually sharing that story, which I did at the first event, that I suddenly realised that, oh my God, I'm not the only one. And I think, you know, half the room came up to me and said, oh, I used to feel like that too. And suddenly you go, hey, I'm normal. I'm not strange. I'm not odd. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
really, really good event. Fantastic. Yeah. So there'll be an opportunity at the event for people to ask lots of questions. You know, I want this event to be for the people that are coming. So there will be this flexibility of people being able to talk and chat and ask questions. So
yeah, there's always questions, especially about things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Fabulous. Well, I hope you will all join us on the 23rd of November. I will put the link down below so that you can sign up and book tickets. And the early bird price is going to change at the 31st of October. So you've got just over a week before the price changes.
Right, brilliant.
Book the tickets now, and Tanith and I will look forward to seeing you all.
Yeah.
And thanks for your time, Tanith.
My pleasure.
And I can't wait to see you on the 23rd.
If not before.
Yeah, well, I'm sure before, yeah.
All right.
All right, take care. Bye.